Tonight on News Hour. Bandit raid in Katsina State claims 8 lives in Lamba community. Devolution of power, state police top priorities as part of constitution review. As heat waves hit most parts of Nigeria, medical experts warn against health risk. And from the international scene, ordeal of Rafah residents continue as Israel intensifies attack. Hello and welcome to Trust TV News Hour. I am Sumaya Abubakar. And now the details. At least 8 persons were killed after bandits attacked Lamba community in Kurfi local government area of Katsina State. Now, despite the ongoing efforts of the state government to address the issues of insecurity within the state, this recent incident highlights the urgent need for further action and intervention. Trust TV's Jamil Mabai reports.
Lamba village, a once peaceful community, now bears the scars of a brutal attack. Bandits stormed the village, leaving a trail of devastation and shattering hopes of affected families. But beyond the statistics lie individual stories of pain and resilience. Samai Ilegiwa clutches what is left of his life, his gun, after narrowly escaping bandits' attack on his community. Others weren't just that lucky.
After I parked my bike, I came out and 2 bandits chased me. We exchanged fire before I escaped, but my colleague was killed there and then.
8 lives lost, 8 families shattered. Abdul's father was one of the 8 people that were killed.
Not up to 30 minutes after I left my dad, I felt really bad when I came back and saw him with blood all over his bed.
While some villagers mourn, others sought refuge in graveyards, a place of eternal rest, hoping that the bandits' attack would pass someday soon. Lamba is not alone. In less than a month, the attacks have left a co-commandant dead in Kankara, while 6 others were killed in Faskari. Experts are demanding more from the government.
This community watch as voluntary organization as the vigilantes. They're not employed by government fully, unlike the police or the army or the civil defense or anybody. They're just a voluntary outfit. And mind you, these people, they have to earn their living, because from what we understand, they're not fully paid by the government. They're only being supplemented. So one has to go and search for his, especially within, the life it is now. So I'm not surprised that the community watch can do very little. See, they can only perhaps, respond if an attack is in the location where they happen to be there. But they cannot be everywhere. You see, and the bandits outpower them. The government should try and see if it can expand these operational activities, whereby they make a joint operation of the community watch, the vigilantes, the police, the civil defense, and any other, agency that could come and probably be stationed in a very strategic location, maybe along Dusama or Safana, or even the Rugu area, whereby
the bandits set fire to houses, food stores, shops, and the Katsina state government and the Nigerian police are yet to release any statement on the attack. Jamil Mabai, Trust TV, Katsina.
Troops of the Nigerian army have neutralized a notorious bandit and insurgent, Boderi Isiaku, as some of his fighters after a gun duel around the Bada, Riawa general areas of Chikun and Igabi local government areas. Boderi, as he was simply known, had for nearly a decade propagated a reign of fear, death and destruction in Kaduna State and neighboring Niger State with a trademark of brutal attacks, mass abductions and cruel, relentless killings. The Kaduna State government, while confirming the fall of Boderi in the state by the overseeing commissioner, Ministry of Internal Security and Home Affairs, Samuel Aruan, said his elimination comes as the culmination of tireless efforts by dedicated troops committed to restoring peace and security in the region. Aruan said 2 of Boderi's associates were also neutralized in the operation, while troops recovered 2 AK-47 rifles, 300 rounds of ammunition, 9 AK-47 magazines, 1 magazine carrier, 1 Bafeng radio set, and 5 motorcycles. He said the elimination of Boderi Isiaku as a notable milestone in the ongoing fight against terrorism and banditry demonstrates the effectiveness of determined and coordinated efforts by security forces in confronting those who seek to spread fear and chaos. Boderi, known for his ruthlessness and cunning, had long eluded the grasp of security forces while orchestrating the kidnappings of prominent figures, innocent civilians, school children, and students with impunity. Bandits on Thursday afternoon invaded Basa community in Shiroro local government area of Niger State, killing 2 people and injured 1 other. The attackers were reported to have also kidnapped an unspecified number of people during the attack. The 2 people killed were identified as TJ Kadama and Lazarus Shawalu. Residents said Thursday's attack was second in 2 weeks, adding that many of their domestic animals, including cattle, were rustled in the last 2 weeks. When contacted, the chief press to the governor, Balogi Ibrahim, said government would continue to adopt relevant approaches to tackle the security challenges facing the state. The Senate says it will give priority to the state police and devolution of power bills in the course of its constitution review exercise. The chairman of the committees and Deputy Senate President Jibrin Barrow disclosed this during the committee inaugural meeting. The report.
Senator Barrow, who announced the names of the 47-member committee to review the 1999 Constitution during the inaugural meeting, said the committee is unique in the sense that it has all female senators as members.
It is important to note that the committee is not constituted to rewrite the 1999 Constitution. But if we have several amendments that can change the entire thing, so be it. But what we want to do is to amend the Constitution in line with the wishes and aspirations of the people of this country. We will strive to conclude this assignment within the next 24 months. I enjoin us to be committed to the activities of the committee because the task ahead is huge. Some of the issues already canvassed by some critical stakeholders are quite delicate.
In their contributions, the lawmakers suggested the use of the template adopted by the 9th National Assembly by avoiding a lump sum document presentation made in the past and rejecting presidential assent due to 1 or 2 controversial issues.
This time around, why don't we try as much as possible to prioritize them? After prioritizing them, we take the ones that we know are very critical, like issues of the state police, like devolution of our areas that we feel will have direct impact on our constitutional setup.
The Constitution has prescribed how it can only be amended, and it's only through this process. So how else do you do it? So I think we need to seek for the understanding of Nigerians that this is a very important process that the National Assembly will always embark upon. I want to say that one of the primary reasons that we seek to amend the Constitution is the fact that the Constitution is a life instrument and is the grand norm that governs our society. And as such, given the dynamism of a modernizing society, I want to think that we will continue constantly to review the Constitution, to plug in all loopholes that might impede national integration, cohesion, and development.
We have seen the benefit of dividing the proposals into bills, because the former president signed so many of the bills, so many. We had phase 1, then phase 2, and going back, because we still had to go back to see the former president, say, why don't you sign this remaining 19? Then they will go back and look at. But if we start in good time, we should be able to address the concerns that may be expressed as reservations.
There is always the feeling that we have not moved fast and far enough. But the National Assembly since 1999 has been making progressive amendments. And some critical areas have been attended to already, particularly in the last assembly, in the 9th assembly. We did a lot, as you all know, especially in the area of devolution.
President of the Senate, Godswill Akpabio, had last week inaugurated 47-member Constitution Review Committee of the 10th Senate.
The Nigerian Senate has confirmed 12 members for the Monetary Policy Committee of the Central Bank of Nigeria with a directive to immediately formulate policies to revive Nigeria's dwindling economy. Trust TV's Sagir Ibrahim reports.
The confirmation follows the presentation of the report of the Senate Committee on Banking, Insurance and Other Financial Institutions headed by Senator Adetokunbo Abiru. The Monetary Policy Committee is made up of the CBN Governor Olayemika Doso as chairman and 11 others as members. Senator Abiru expressed confidence in the nominees, adding that they are not only experienced in their field but also possess the required qualifications to thrive in the MPC.
That their appointments are in accordance with the provisions of the Act, that the nominees possess the requisite qualification, that we did not receive any petition against any of the nominees, and that the nominees have been cleared by the Nigerian Police Force, Department of State Security, and they have their Code of Conduct acknowledgement slips. Recommendations. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, the Committee on Banking, Insurance and Other Financial Institutions, after robust engagement with the nominees and being satisfied with their experiences, performances and academic qualifications, do hereby recommend as follows: that the Senate do confirm the nomination of all the underlisted members as members of the Monetary Policy Committee of the Central Bank of Nigeria.
Speaking after the confirmation of the CBN Governor and other members of the MPC, the Senate President Godswill Akpabio commended President Bola Tinubu for selecting individuals with great expertise that will help the country out of its current predicament.
I wish them well and pray that they will use their expertise to redirect the monetary policies, including even contributions to the fiscal policies, to ensure that Nigeria gets out of the current economic quagmire.
This confirmation of new MPC members follows the first policy meeting of the Apex Bank under the new CBN Governor, scheduled for the 26th and 27th of February 2024. From the National Assembly in Abuja, Sagir Ibrahim, reporting for Trust TV News.
The House of Representatives on Thursday held a valedictory session in honor of a former Speaker of the House, Umar Galina Abba. At the emotion-laden session, which held at the lower chamber, the Speaker, Tajuddin Abbas, described the late Naabba as leader of a formidable team, also who contributed immensely to the development of the Green Chamber in particular and Nigeria in general. The report.
Gali Umar Naabba, a prominent figure in Nigerian politics, passed away on December 27, 2023, in Abuja after battling with a prolonged illness. He served as the Speaker of the House of Representatives between 1999 and 2003 and was known for his role in fighting for the autonomy of the legislature against an overbearing executive. Speaker of the House, Abbas, in his remark, recalled the contribution Abba made in advancing the cause of democracy in the country. He said the departed speaker's tenure ensured the independence of the legislature, which recognizes that the true democratic society thrives when its legislative arm operates without undue influence and freely articulating the will and aspirations of the people.
The vision of Honorable Guardian Abba has been supported by successive administrations, with the executive arm working in concert with the National Assembly to ensure good governance, transparency, and accountability.
All the lawmakers described the late Abba as a passionate, consistent, and disciplined Democrat who contributed his quota to the development of the state and Nigeria.
He was a good man, a distinguished Nigerian, and we need to keep the families of those kind of people in good shape.
A certain forgetfulness about the men and women who fought for this democracy, who sacrificed to sustain it, and the hard work it took to achieve the vision of the government of the people, for the people, and by the people.
No longer do we celebrate just wealth. We celebrate a man who believes that democracy is the best option. And this is a message to those who are thinking of other options. There is no option better than democracy.
And that statement always came from when we agreed that if the political elites in Nigeria are not careful and the people decide to react, the bulletproof car will not save anybody.
National issue in the morning, national issue in the afternoon, national issue in the night. And whatever National Assembly is today, that was the man that started it to get the independence of the National Assembly or the Parliament until today.
Perhaps if we had the opportunity to commend him, encourage him when he was alive, it would not have taken this form. There are several Gali Nabas that are living today. Please, sir, let us begin to locate them. Commend our own, encourage our own while they are still living.
The former speaker, Abba, was born on September 27, 1958, in Kano State and was a member of the People's Democratic Party, PDP.
On health matters, 4 people have been reported dead following a suspected outbreak of Lassa fever at the 44 Nigerian Army Reference Hospital in Kaduna. The Chief Press Secretary to the Governor of Kaduna State, Muhammad Lawal Shehu, who disclosed this on Thursday, said Governor Obasani has directed the State Ministry of Health to immediately investigate and ascertain the situation of the health facility. Shehu said a surveillance team has also been mobilized to assess the situation while containment measures were initiated alongside the hospital management. He added that those who came in contact with infected victims have been identified and are closely being monitored while receiving urgent medical treatment. He said samples have been collected from contacts and sent for confirmation to the Nigerian Center for Disease Control Laboratory and are closely being followed up. Health workers in Jalingo, the Taraba state capital, have advocated the use of protective gears against the scorching sun and dust in order to reduce the effect of surging heat waves. They also called for adequate water intake to avoid dehydration. The call follows the recent heat wave that has made managing the dry season a little more challenging than usual. The report.
Throughout Nigeria, there's been a surge in complaints about excessive heat attributed to shifts in weather patterns. Consequently, the Nigerian Meteorological Agency and other health organizations have issued advisories urging precautionary measures among members of the public. However, For street hawkers in Jalingo, the Taraba state capital, the challenge is particularly acute as they must endure selling their wares under the relentless scorching sun as temperatures rise to 39 degrees.
Ply my trade under the sun with the help of a wheelbarrow because I don't have a shop. Secondly, shop owners don't want us to stay in their premises on the basis that we cover the view of the shops. So we have nothing to do but to keep moving under the sun. I drink a lot of water to help me stay hydrated. We are facing different challenges due to the hot weather. Although it is uncomfortable, we have nothing to do than to thank God.
The intense heat wave has resulted in health implications for some individuals, leading to various health challenges.
Actually, the weather has affected so many people. I'm even one of the victims because since the last Harmattan, the Harmattan that started, I think I suffered from this cough and catarrh. And since then, it hardly goes, even all upon the treatment you take.
It's not only here in our country, Nigeria, it's all over Africa, what we have noticed. When you drink water, just about some 10 minutes, you still feel thirsty. And you have to take too much water because if you don't take too much water, you will not be in good health.
Because of the weather, as I'm like this Harmattan, you see dry truck. The truck will be dry, so by taking much water, excess water, then will help the body to function very well as is expected.
Health practitioner Caleb Agada recommends that residents increase their water intake and utilize protective gear to shield themselves from the sun and dust.
And a lot of times you find dehydration, and that tends to be a major issue, and this can cause a lot of other things. It can lead to heat stroke. This can also lead to renal damages, renal impairments. So it is advisable that in periods like this, drink lots of water, drink adequate water. It is advisable because this will help to protect one's kidney and also help to improve one's health.
Despite the challenges posed by the situation, many remain hopeful that improvements will occur in the near future, despite projections showing a steady rise in temperatures in the coming weeks.
Residents of Matazu local government area of Katsina State are groaning acute water shortage following abandonment of semi-urban water supply scheme, which will provide water for public and animals consumption to the area. The water scheme initiated by Katsina State government in 1994 was faulty for the last few years, throwing residents into serious water scarcity. Abdullahi Yamadi visited Matazu town recently, and he tells us more in this report.
This development has left Matazu residents struggling daily to get water for their consumption and other domestic purposes, a situation that inflicted too much pains and hardship on the people. Residents were seen moving from one point to another in search of water, forcing many to patronize local water vendors, though not very healthy for consumption. Because of the water shortage, residents have to wake up early in the morning to fetch water at some private residences, or in the alternative, buy it from the vendors at exorbitant rates. This water supply scheme was faulty for quite a long time now, and residents are seriously suffering. Kindly let the government come to our aid. The state government, we know, is doing its best, and it has been doing a lot to make us happy, but we need more. Some residents said the Matazu semi-urban water supply scheme, which had about 13 functional boreholes in the past, with underground and overhead tanks used to supply water to over 10,000 residents, who are now at the mercy of vendors.
Because as at now, we can pump the water using the electricity, which has its own negative impact on the system, because it's not quite reliable. The electricity is epileptic, and when there is a little situation, you find out there was so many damages in the electrical system. So as such, it needs to be upgraded to a modern system, and a bigger generator with much higher capacity to form all the boreholes at a time is required.
However, Katsina State Government, through the Small Towns Water Supply and Sanitation Department, said such projects are expected for upgrade and rehabilitation soon.
Now, the 2024 budget has captured the Matazu project and the Namusa and Entumaki, which are already ongoing. And also, the South program has identified all the existing 44 water supply scheme under the small town for total upgrade, rehabilitation, and the conversion to solar. So I'm sure this project will also fall in under those two categories.
Residents are hopeful that despite all the challenges they are facing in sourcing water at the moment, one day it will be history, expressing confidence in the Dikko Umaru Ratna's administration, which they described as focused and people's-oriented. Abdullahi Ismayamadi, Trust Television News, Katsina.
As reactions continue to trail calls by the International Monetary Fund, the IMF, urging Nigerians to remove the subsidy on electricity amidst the rising cost of living. An economist has blamed Nigeria's worsening situation on corruption. According to him, despite the long-standing argument in favor of subsidy removal, which is believed to increase government revenue, foster foreign direct investment, and promote economic and social development, managing the regime has left many in doubt as they do not trust the handlers of subsidy funds, a situation that has left many Nigerians impoverished. So with the recent IMF calls, can Nigerians survive without the cap on fuel and electricity? Chamundabeng reports.
Of fuel subsidy came with untold hardship for Nigerians as the hike in the cost of fuel directly impacted the price of goods and services. Sadly, this was only the beginning of Nigeria's woes as inflation has been on a steady rise. Today, the consumer price index sits at 29.9%. Beyond this, Nigeria also grapples with the waning strength of the naira as the current exchange rate fluctuates between 1,800 to 1,900 naira to $1. The impact of the high dollar rate has shown itself in the electricity sector, with several discos calling for an increase in tariffs. Recently, the Minister of Power, Adebayo Adelabu, stated that the federal government can no longer sustain electricity subsidy due to a 3 trillion naira debt to both Gencos and Gascos. The request by the International Monetary Fund to completely remove fuel and electricity subsidy is an issue that has left several experts worried about the reaction of Nigerians.
You don't push somebody who is already down the abyss without any form of pity. The person will be forced to react. In that reaction, you don't choose how it will come, whether peacefully or violently. So why is it that anytime you hear IMF, World Bank, the first thing they will tell you is to add more hardship to the people? Who does that? And why is it that whenever IMF want to advice, the advice is always anti-poor? Why is it that IMF will never advise government to cut costs in governance by cutting the costs of the luxuries of those that are in power?
The long-standing argument on subsidy removal has been that it would free up funds for the government and allow it to generate more in revenue and create an atmosphere for foreign direct investment as well as economic and social development. However, Hamisu argues that Nigeria's problem goes way beyond subsidy.
Let us not deceive ourselves. Our problem in this country is corruption. It's not subsidy. When we are talking, we should know that the masses are not the problems of this country. In fact, they are victims. Every mass of the people in this country, or anybody that belongs to the mass of this country, is a victim, is a local government unto himself. Healthcare, he provides for himself. Water, he buys. School, he pays. So if you ask, what is government doing for the people are virtually living outside government. They are virtually living outside government. Is it road? Is it power? Is it what? What is government doing?
Hamisu is urging the federal government to invest heavily not only in production, but also in human capital development, stating that the solution to Nigeria's problems can only be found within Nigeria. Chamundabeng, Trust TV News, Abuja.
The Chief of Defense Staff, General Christopher Musa, has warned against advocating for a coup due to the prevailing economic hardship in the country. He has also emphasized patience and the superiority of democracy over military rule. He made this known on Thursday while speaking with journalists at the Nigerian Army 6th Division headquarters in Port Harcourt, the Rivers State capital, after commissioning some building projects. General Musa urged individuals promoting military takeover to withdraw such statements. Protests have occurred in Ogun, Oyo, Kano, Niger, and some parts of the country that has taken over hardship experience in the country as Nigerians lament food inflation, high cost of living, amongst other harsh living conditions occasioned by the removal of petrol subsidy, forex crisis, amongst others. You're watching News Hour on Trust TV. Coming up, as unemployment rate surges in Nigeria, artisan graduates urges youth to embrace entrepreneurship. This and more after the break. Stay with us.
The present Kanuri people of Borno, descendants of the Saif Ibn Diyazan from Yemen.
Kanuri is an Arabic word. They said Asluhum Kanuri. Originally, they are like the light. People living in this area were not only the Kanuri, there were Kanumbus and other tribes, the Tubu. And even among the Kanuri, there were different dialects.
The Kanuris acquired a unique affinity for fine scents from the Arabs. They are renowned for their perfumery skills across northern Nigeria.
Hakan ɗinkin hula ya hana mu karatu. Gwanda mun bar ɗinkin hula mun je wajen karatu.
The Kanuris have remained resilient and resolute in their resolve to preserve the legacies of their ancestors through food, art, religion, and commerce.
Welcome back and thank you for staying with us. If you're just joining us, this is Trust News Hour. Here is a recap of our top stories. Report you that bandits raid in Katsina State claims 8 lives in Lamba community. And devolution of power, state police top priorities as part of constitution review. Now moving on to more stories. The Borno State Civilian Joint Task Force, the CJTF, says it has lost over 2,000 of its men in the fight against insurgency across some parts of the country. The paramilitary agents revealed this during a press briefing in Maiduguri, where it appealed to security agencies to arrest imposters parading themselves as leaders of the civilian GTF. It also revealed that it has expanded its operations to the northwestern part of the country, including Chad, Niger, and Cameroon, to complement the efforts of security agencies. The spokesman of the Borno Civilian JTF, Bashir Abbas, who read the press statement, also further revealed that it has stopped recruiting child soldiers.
I think 6 to 8 months back, we lost one of our commanders in Ganzai. Last year, we lost one in Gubio, Maradona. So if you look at CJT, we lost a lot of commanders. We also lost some of our members last week in Sokoto. But some people, and Benishe, we regularly lose them. But we don't used to come out regularly on media due to the kind of the activities on ground. We are always in the bush operating with the military. Our own mission or our own target to achieve our goal is to bring peace, restore peace. And we are also warning the general public, those that they are conniving with the bandit and Boko Haram, to be very careful. After the speech of the president, we still have extra energy now, so we are warning the general public who are bad sick to be careful. Now JTF has become an active and extra energetic organization, so we are now as if today we started it.
Plateau Governor Caleb Mutfwang has reinstated 3,879 civil servants employed by the immediate past administration of Simon Lalong. The reinstatement of the workers was contained in a statement by the Secretary to the State Government, Samuel Nanchang Jatau, in Jos. According to the statement, the 3,879 reinstated civil servants cut across 42 ministries, departments, and agencies whose employment was carried out under the supervision of the State Civil Service Commission, as well as the Office of the Head of Civil Service. This has finally put to rest months of back and forth on the qualification of those employed and authenticity of the process through which the workers were employed. The government suspended the entire employment in June 2023, pending investigation and recommendation by a white paper committee set up to look into the process in accordance with civil servants or service procedure. The statement upheld the cancellation of the employments done by tertiary institution under the last administration and ordered the immediate commencement of processes for fresh employment in the affected institutions. The national chairman of the Labour Party, Julius Abure, has been released from police custody. Abure was arrested by the Assistant Inspector General of Police in charge of Zone 5, Benin City, Edo State, Arungwa Nwazule. It was gathered that Abure was released around 3:05 a.m. on Thursday. The AIG on Wednesday night disclosed that the LP national chairman, the Edo State chairman of the party, Kelly Ogbaloy, and 3 others were arrested for conspiracy, brutal assault, attempted murder, armed robbery, grievous harms, and conduct likely to cause breach of peace. Speaking to some of his supporters who were at the AIG Zone 5 headquarters shortly after his release, Abure stated that what he suffered is peculiar to what other freedom fighters suffer all over the world. He added that his release by the police followed pressure from some quarters, which he did not name, adding that the assurances were given that the state chairman, state publicity secretary, and other arrested alongside him would be released in the early hours of Thursday. With the decline in white-collar jobs in Nigeria, calls have been intensified for young graduates to toe the path of entrepreneurship in order to be gainfully employed. Now, these calls are further strengthened by the federal government's repeatedly claim that it has limited employment slots against the hundreds of thousands of graduates churned out by Nigerian universities on an annual basis. Nuruddin Umar, a degree holder, is however an exception as he is into laundry services after graduation and earning a living from it. Hassan Kohli reports.
With a Bachelor of Science degree in botany, 30-year-old Nuruddin Umar is into laundry services in Gombe. Despite people taunting him, Nuruddin says he is now helping government generate employment as he is self-employed and employing others too.
I started this business, so with this business I almost sponsored my degree education, and also working with others with some apprentices. So I think working with them, it's like I do create another job opportunity.
Nuruddin believed that starting a business is the only way for graduates to prove that they attended higher institution instead of waiting for government to employ them.
I'm calling on graduates like me not to rely on government to give them job. They should go and at least find something or small business which the capital will not be hard for them. So in order to sustain their living.
Economic experts suggest that starting a small-scale businesses will boost the Nigerian economy by creating more job opportunities among the teeming graduates. Hassan Kohli, Trust TV News, Gombe.
Federal Capital Territory FCT Minister Nyesom Wike has pledged to expand and construct roads in Gwagwa, Dede, Karimo and Idu to alleviate commuters' stress on roads within the FCT. Wike disclosed this while officially flagging off the construction of a 5-kilometer road in Abaji. Habibat Ajayi has more.
The flag-off of the project in Abuja Municipal Area Council marks the final phase of the first wave of rural satellite town roads construction in the FCT. Wike, while reiterating the indispensable role of robust infrastructure in advancing development in the FCT, emphasized that the project aims to enhance transportation within the community, stimulate economic activities and improve the overall quality of life for residents of the Abuja Municipal Area Council.
Mr. President has told me to tell you that what we are doing, we are not doing you a favor. You are entitled to it. It is our responsibility to do it. So, we are not doing anything that is extraordinary. I can assure you very well that the problems we are facing will be a thing of the past sooner.
The chairman of Abuja Municipal Area Council expressed gratitude to the minister for the project and called for swift completion of previously abandoned projects.
Today is a very significant and remarkable day to the good people of Saburi because their long-awaited requests and demand have met via your pragmatic, tremendous and unprecedented leadership as the Minister of FCT.
The road that you are constructing now, we are much grateful. By constructing this road, to link the old Kefi road will serve, but it will never be enough. And we have the abandoned regional market that has almost 800 shops uncompleted. These shops have been there after Erupai's time. Nobody is there. People are living in that place. They have born, they have grown up. It has become a suitable shelter for the criminals. They are killing there. They are kidnapping there. They are doing so many atrocities there. Miscreants are there. Hoodlums are there.
Minister Wike also called on the Senate Committee on FCT to take concrete action on the road projects in the federal capital. Habibat Ajayi, Trust TV News, Abuja.
A book titled The Jurisprudence of Nigerian Constitution, written in honor of Professor Awale Yadudu, has been launched. Professor Yadudu is retiring from the academics after decades of service from the Faculty of Law of Bayero University, Kano. Trust TV's correspondent Idris Jibrin reports that the book is expected to guide law practitioners and teachers of law in the course of their practice. The report.
Law students from Bayero University, Kano and beyond, lecturers, judges, and several other stakeholders all gathered at the Dangote Business School of the Bayero University, Kano, to witness the presentation of the book, Jurisprudence of the Nigerian Constitution.
The book is about the constitutional journey of Nigeria from colonial time to today. It is an odyssey of the constitutional journey of the nation yet to birth. A great point of this book is how deficiencies in weak articles in the book are taken care of by strong articles, and strong articles are further guided by stronger articles.
The book was written to honor a scholar of law, Professor Awale Yadudu, who dedicated his entire life making lawyers and judges across the continent of Africa and beyond.
Almost 25 years ago, in a cold November morning, Professor Awale Yadudu was delivering what was to be the last lecture of a second semester in jurisprudence to level 5 students. After 2 hours of deconstructing the schools and summarizing them, and pointing the student to what lay ahead as they graduate, he pointed to a particular student seated at the front row. And he gave him this 25 years ago or so. He said to that student, "Take this I don't know what life beckons to each and every one of you, but you may be where I'm standing today. You may refer to it one day. Unknown to the student and unknown to Professor Yadudu, he did it intuitively that student will today be standing in at the 12th Dean of Law and addressing himself.
According to experts, Professor Yadudu's contribution to Nigeria's education sector and justice system is most invaluable. Hence, the need for these people to gather here in appreciation of his decades of endless service to nation building.
I've looked at the book and the variety of topics that have been written about and discussed about, and I must say truly I want to commend the Dean and all his friends and colleagues for this very thoughtful gesture. I don't think there are many scholars in the field of constitutional law that have contributed, I'm talking about contemporary scholars, that have contributed more than Professor Yadudu has done.
From a humble beginning, Professor Awal Hamis Yadudu rose to prominence as a constitutional law scholar, a legal practitioner, and university administrator. Professor Yadudu was the first indigenous dean of law at the Faculty of Law of our esteemed university, Bayero University, Kano.
Although now retired from active service, but Professor Yadudu's wealth of experience and excellent contribution will always be remembered in the history of Nigeria's judicial system and, of course, the nation's education sector. Idris Jubrin, Trust TV News, Kano.
Let's join Yusuf Akogu for Business News Update.
Welcome to Business News. I am Yusuf Akogu. Nigeria's economy grew by 3.46% in the fourth quarter of 2023. Statistics agency data said the pickup in the growth came as reform instituted by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu last year begin to take effect. Gross domestic product GDP grew 2.54% in the third quarter of last year and 2.51% in the second quarter. Growth in the final quarter of 2022 was 3.52% in annual terms. Credit to the government rose month-on-month by 7.6% to 36.16 trillion naira in January 2024 from 33.6 trillion naira in December 2023. Data from the Central Bank of Nigeria Money and Credit Statistics for the review period also showed that credit to the private sector grew by 23% to 76.9 trillion naira in January 2024 from 62.5 trillion naira in December 2023. Consequently, the net domestic credit to the economy rose to 113.1 trillion naira in January 2023, representing a 17.5% growth from 96.18 trillion naira in December 2023. Last month, the Minister of Finance and the Coordinating Minister of the Economy, Wale Edo, revealed that the country may tap the Eurobond market later in the year if rates move sufficiently lower. The International Monetary Fund, IMF, has warned that the official exchange rate may further depreciate by about 35% this year. A 35% depreciation will bring the exchange rate to 2,081 naira per dollar. The fund added that this could lead to inflation rate peaking at 44% before the monetary policy tightening could bring the situation under control. In its February 2024 post-financing assessment and staff report, IMF noted that the nation's monetary policy is currently insufficient to bring down inflation below 20%, while pressure on the naira persists. According to the Bretton Woods Institution, the country will benefit from developing a comprehensive macroeconomic and growth strategy in collaboration with support from development partners. Now to the food commodities. Market price for major food commodities such as grain and vegetables oils have risen sharply to historic highs across the country. Let's see how it's looking like today. A bag of sugar there, talking about 50 kg, is going for 90,000 naira at Marna Market. That is Sokoto State. Gari, 50 kg as well at Ogbete Market in Enugu State is going for 45,000 naira for that. That's a very huge amount. You will say rice at Utako Market here, depending on the brand you're buying, but the average price is around 75,000 naira for 50 kg bag. 100 kg at Ogbogonogo Market down there in Delta State is going for 56,000 naira. And of course, beans there at Dankaba market in Kano State is around 72,000 naira as well. Price for 50 kg and soya beans as well in Benue State. Talking about Zakibia market is going for around 74,000 naira indeed there as well. Moving on now to the stock market. Indeed, the market closed negative as profit taken by investors in late trade did drag down the market indeed. There, let's look at some of the equities that lost today. We have a flour mill there losing 10%. Calgary Nigerian PLC also down by 10%, and of course UPL also recording a huge loss there of 10%, and of course that has dragged down the market marginally, though you would say, by 0.12%. Volume of trade 252.997 million, value at 4.944 billion naira in a days of 7,248 did exchange hands among investors today. Talking about the top trading equities by volume, we have First Bank of Nigeria holding there, talking about the FBNH. 31.021 million shares is traded. UBA United Bank of Africa 22.281 million shares is also traded. It traded as well, while Access Corporation also traded 13.689 million volume of shares as well. Of course, we have some equities that gain despite the negative closure of the market. Okay, so one of them is Suno Assurance, an insurance company gaining 10% at the close of market today. Omatech recording 10% gain as well, and of course Julie also gained 9.79%. So the highlight of the stock trading as it went down this Thursday on the floor of the Nigerian Stock Exchange. Now, finally in business now, oil prices rose for a second day on Thursday, bowed by a softer dollar and another attack on shipping near Yemen. At the London market, Brent crude sells for $82 per barrel. For the oil basket, price also steadies at $82 per barrel. That's business news. I am Yusuf Akogu.
Thank you, Yusuf, for that update. Now, from the international scene, people in the Rafah area of the Gaza Strip were clearing through rubble and debris on Thursday after Israeli jets struck 7 locations in the southern border town. A mosque and a residential building were hit, killing 4 people. Some 1.5 million Gazans are crammed into the area, most of them displaced from other parts of the enclave due to the ongoing war. Many buildings were damaged in the crowded Shabor refugee camp. The mosque they hit destroyed the entire neighborhood, said El Marwa Abu Musa, a local in the area, as she cleared debris in her home. Mourners gathered by bodies and wept in front of the Abu Yusuf al-Najjar hospital as they waited for the bodies to be buried. The war began when Hamas-led militants stormed into southern Israel in October 7th, killing some 1,200 people and taking around 250 hostage. Let's now join Adenia Jishafe for sports update.
The Rejuvenated Federal Capital Territory School Sports Festival is underway in Abuja, with all registered public and private schools in the nation's capital competing the zonal preliminaries for places in the finale. Organizers of the fiesta say the preliminaries are being held at 8 designated centers to avoid long-distance traveling by students, pupils, and their game officials. The preliminaries hold across primary, junior secondary, and senior secondary schools categories, with the best 2 in each event qualifying for the finale. After a first-hand inspection, the venues and infrastructure of the 8 host schools were certified by the organizing committee. Deputy Director, FCT Secondary School Sport Department, Jimo Abasi, confirmed that adequate arrangements have been made to secure the venues with a view to forestall any security breach. Similarly, medical posts to be manned by paramedics have been put in place, while 1 ambulance will be centered at each of the centers to provide timely medical interventions. The zonal preliminaries across all 3 categories are due to end on March 2nd, 2024, while a break will be observed from March 4th to 9th, before the finale scheduled for March 11th to 14th at the main bowl of the MK Abiola Stadium, Abuja, and its adjoining facilities. And still in sport, the Athletics Federation of Nigeria, AFN, has invited 33 athletes comprising 17 men and 16 women to camp ahead of the 13th African Games scheduled to hold in 3 Ghanaian cities of Accra, Cape Coast, and Kumasi in March. Olayinka Olajide, winner of the women's 100-meter headlines the team that will be camping in Abuja from Thursday, 22nd of February, to the contingent departure to Ghana. Other Amazons on the list are sprinters Blessing Ogundiran and Tiana Justina Kotamaila, Esther Joseph, Patience Okon, and Esther Okon. Fakurede Adekalu, Enoch Adegoke, Israel Okon, and Consider Ikanem are the male sprinters heading to the Abuja camp. Samuel Nukeku, Teye Endurance, Solomon Aliu, Kayode Yahaya, Deji Aliu, Mohamed Dabo, and Gabriel Okon are some of the experienced coaches that will be working with the athletes in camp. That's Sport News. I'm Adeni Ajishafe.
And with that, we have come to the end of Trust TV News Hour. Do not forget to follow us across all our social media platforms and join our YouTube live stream for more news programs and documentaries. I am Sumaya Abubakar. Thanks for watching.